You think things are bad because we have to wear COVID masks? You think things are bad because our journalists are lying morons? You think things are bad because rioters are looting some stores? Perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Perspective. Whenever the world doesn't seem to be going your way, just read about the impact a certain ideology has on other parts of the world. The Daily Mail reports. Police have freed 15 children from an Islamic school in central Nigeria where they were kept in chains and tortured. The children, aged between 2 and 10, were discovered Sunday in a dehumanizing condition at an informal Quran school in the town of Suleja in Niger State, regional police spokesman Wasiu Abiodun said on Tuesday. In the house where they were found, 3 chains used to tie their legs were also recovered, he said. It comes after a spate of raids on such institutions last year led to over 1,000 people, many of them children, being rescued. These children were rescued from Quran schools. Let that sink in. Hundreds of children had to be rescued from Quran schools. Abiodun said signs of torture, including scars and wounds, were discovered on the children when they were rescued. He said the cleric who ran the school, Umar Ahmed, 46, was arrested during the raid. The case is under investigation and the suspect will soon be arraigned in court for prosecution, he said. Informal Islamic religious schools, called al-Majiri schools, are common in Nigeria, where there is a chronic lack of government services. They are widely criticized for squalid conditions, poor treatment, and making pupils beg on the streets. Many also operate as so-called rehabilitation centers for drug addicts and children with behavioral problems. Last year, 3 major raids on such institutes in less than a month led to police rescuing hundreds of inmates. Police freed about 500 men and boys from an Islamic school in Katsina, northern Nigeria, in October 2019. The men were shackled and tortured at the school where they had been enrolled by their families to learn the Quran. Many had also been sent there to be treated for drug addiction. My goodness. I want my son to learn the Quran. Let me send him to Quran school. 3 months later, police show up at your door. Is this your son? Yeah, we found him chained to a wall with lashes all over his body. They tortured him for not memorizing Surah 9 fast enough. The news came less than 3 weeks after nearly 500 men and young boys were freed from the Islamic boarding school in Kaduna, around 280 miles north of Daura. On September 26th, police discovered nearly 500 men and young boys standing in rows wearing ankle shackles, while others had their hands chained. Other photos show the torture victims with horrific scars on their backs. One victim even claimed that previous students had died from being tortured. Parents have since been reunited with some of the children rescued by police at the Hajj transit camp. Students at Quran schools are being tortured to death in Africa. Police said the detainees were from Burkina Faso, Mali, and other African countries. The victims, including adults and minors, were kept in the most debasing and inhuman conditions in the name of teaching them the Quran and reforming them, Kaduna State Police spokesman Yakubu Sabo said. Police had been tipped off by complaints from local residents who became suspicious of what was happening inside the school. During the raid on the school, police said they found a torture chamber where students were chained, hung, and beaten. You think you got problems? This is how African Muslim children are treated by their religious leaders. Their parents send them to these Quran schools. Students are tortured physically and mentally. They're tortured physically by lashing them. They're tortured mentally by making them memorize the Quran. I'm not sure which is worse. If they survive years of physical and psychological torture, they'll finally be ready to join Boko Haram, where they'll spend the rest of their lives kidnapping and raping and torturing and slaughtering unbelievers in the name of Allah. You're mad at your parents? At least they didn't send you to one of these Quran schools. You have to listen to your pastor's sermon online because of coronavirus? At least you're not chained to a wall. We got it good, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get our acts together because there are people in this world who really, really need some help.